Hello, and welcome to another pandemic report. I think we're on like number 9 or something. I don't know. I lost track. But I believe last time we were talking, we were coming up to opening up things here. And as predicted, opening up things brings about more infections. Yes, so I thought it was going to be going to school that was going to, start bringing the increase in infections. But many weeks of schooling went by, and there was hardly any reports of infections coming out of the schools. I did hear of one here, one there. Somebody had one case in a class, and so, I had friends who were either in that school or in that class. If they're in that school, they didn't worry about it. If they're in that class, they either decided to get tested or isolate. Either way, but they were just sporadic things here and there. But the numbers kept going up, and it turns out that apparently opening up restaurants might not have been the best of ideas. Yes, so to help out the restaurant crowds and such like that, they decided to open up indoor eating, and it seemed that spurred on some infections. That and people getting together for parties, apparently, because the gatherings had been allowed to be increased. Essentially, they were allowed large gatherings outside and even some decent gatherings inside. And because of those and restaurants, not only were frontline workers, restaurant employees and stuff like that, be it fast food or in, whatever dining, were getting infected, but also, the people eating there were getting infected, and large parties, even if they were outdoors, they weren't really, doing the whole social distancing thing. They figured, we're outdoors, we're good, right? Well, if somebody's got the virus and they're really sick with it, but they don't show any symptoms or anything like that, or maybe they are showing symptoms, but they're super minor, so you don't even notice, and maybe they just go, oh, it's just allergies. Yeah, if you happen to be with them for hours on end, it's a good possibility you're gonna get infected. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these parties and social gatherings, even if they started outdoors, maybe have gone indoors and such, because the weather was starting to get a little bit cooler. It was still really good. We had a very, very, very good period where it was really, really warm and going in there. But yeah, so those numbers started to pick up, and because of those numbers going up, then the schools and the daycares started to pick up. So it went from essentially probably adults, maybe families, spreading it down to their kids infecting other kids, those kids infecting adults, and that's how it works, right? That's maybe the kids don't really show much in terms of signs, or if they do, it just seems like a cold. You keep them home for a couple of days, and boom, you figure it's all good. It was just a little runny nose, a little cold, and next thing you know, boom, yeah, you've infected a whole slew of people. Because you sent them back to school as soon as the symptoms were gone, or maybe they didn't really show very much in symptoms. So I mean, they even allowed for schools that at first it was like, if you had a runny nose or any cold symptoms or anything like that, don't go to school. But then they were like, well, these are kids, so this is going to be, not many kids are going to be at school. And because they essentially divided it up into, well, depending on your school district, it was really, really weird. Some schools were divided up into offline, so you went to school, and online, and you didn't go to school, you learned from home. And then others were and I don't understand this, in a mix where you did both in school and online. So you're only at school for half the day. I don't know how that was supposed to not allow for, the population of germs to spread. I don't know. I will say that I do like the way they did it for Emily in high school, where she takes essentially 2 subjects a week. So she takes 4 subjects, kind of like a quadmester or whatever. I don't know how it's broken up, but essentially it's two subjects one week, 2 subjects the next week. So you're only with 2 classes for an entire week, and then you have the weekend before you hit the next two classes. So you're not mixing for at least 2 days in between those time periods, and you're in those classes essentially all day. Or no, it's two classes. One class is it one class per week? I think it's one class per. Yes. So she's doing some kind of weird quadmester thing where it's one course per week all day. So you're in that one class all day, and then you have the weekend, and then you're in the other class, and then they switch it over to two new courses, and then, you know, essentially you get 8 courses out of the year done this way. Where that kind of sucks is if you do get sick or anything like that, every day is essentially like a week's worth of classes. So if you miss one day, that's an entire week's worth of school. So that kind of sucks. But the idea is don't get sick. Don't take time off. Sarah, on the other hand, is essentially just the way they're doing is you're there all day long, and you continue through. You have this, you know, whatever your class schedule is, but you try and stay in the same class, no matter what the subject is. Interesting way to do it. I don't know. Which I definitely prefer Emily's high school model rather than the other ones. I don't understand. I have friends who are like, one class is 2 days, another class is 3 days, and then they switch, and then there's a day off, and just this weird model. I'm like, but they're constantly mixing over the entire whatever. I don't understand some of the models that some of the school boards have come up with, but they are what they are. But unfortunately, as the population gets more sick, it spreads down and eventually gets in the schools and the daycares, and those numbers, again, pushed it all the way up. And yeah, it looks like coming up to Christmas time, Toronto already went into lockdown. Almost everything around the region we've switched to this weird color coding where you're like orange and red and gray and yellow. I don't know. I thought red was apparently the worst you could get because red means, you know, stop. But no, apparently I guess it's lockdown is gray or something like that over top of that. Whatever. We've hit red and such. So, yeah, well, I don't really get the difference between all they sort of do is limit the amount. So the group sizings get smaller and smaller as you go from level to level. The amount of people allowed into stores or into restaurants and stuff gets smaller and smaller. But until lockdown, pretty much it's like open. It really is. So yeah, I don't think anything outside of lockdown really does much of anything because, yeah, a lot of people are staying home. A lot of people are not going out anyway, so your numbers really aren't inflated. Though, you know, coming into Christmas, I'm sure the retail sector, they're going to try and push as many people in and through as possible, right? But yeah, lockdowns look like they're coming up for Christmas. Yeah, there's lots of stuff I could talk about, but yeah, essentially that's where it went. First, opening up restaurants and opening up gatherings. Looks like it spread the the disease. And this is funny. They make it like a second wave was inevitable, but really, the second wave was inevitable because you opened things right up. It wasn't like COVID was gone. No, COVID was still around. We were still having cases. Yes, they were getting lower and lower every week until, you know, you only had a few, but they were still there, which meant it was still there, which meant the people who weren't getting tested, which is a lot of them, they still had it. You know, like, it was still there. And once you open it up and people are getting together and all, it's going to spread, right? So, yeah, it wasn't that the second wave was inevitable. It was that the second wave, they just decided to let it happen. Yeah. So, we are in what they're calling the second wave, and the second wave is getting worse and worse and worse. So yeah, we're definitely headed for lockdown come Christmas time, I'm sure. Somewhere either before or after. Toronto already went into lockdown. I don't know if Ottawa went into lockdown, but I do know those were the two kind of hotbeds in Ontario, and every province is handling it different. I'm not even going to get into the differences. I could, but it's not worth it. Yeah, we're dealing with it here. We're kind of trying to make it, business as usual. Because this time of year, I'm essentially into work every day of, every weekday. It's our busy time of the year, so I don't go in for full days. So we are kind of limiting the amount of people in the office at a time. There's somebody who leaves around midday and I come in during midday, so we switch off that way. Other people are there all day. Some people are there in the morning. Some people are there in the afternoon. Some people are there in the middle. It's just, so there's not everybody there all at the same time. I would say around the middle portion of the day is probably the busiest, when we have the, changeover from the morning to the afternoon people, and the people who are kind of, just there in the middle and just there in the morning. It's just, that's probably the when essentially we're the fullest, but even then we're very, very small in terms of staff, so we've already spaced out. Like, we got 2 floors, we got two or three people in one giant room, 2 people in another room, and 2 or 3 people in an entire floor type thing, right? So yeah, we're at least spaced out considerably. And when people come in and stuff, we will sanitize and we wear our masks and such. I do believe we're supposed to be wearing masks at all times, but it really isn't warranted so much in our area. Like I said, the spacing is it's not 6 feet. It's not 12 feet would be the minimum, right? Like, so yeah. But I've got some more channels. I know sports are a little weird right now. Some were trying to figure out how they could do it. Some are trying to, are going ahead with certain things. Others are, people are getting infected, and they're shutting down, and everybody's just, the Olympics got everything, right? Everything is just when it comes to sports. And I don't care so much for the athletes. They're getting paid no matter what. And they're making buck anyways. Now the minor league guys, that kind of sucks for them, because they don't make a ton of money in general. And then for all of the support staff and all of the, trickle down effect of that sports brings with, the people, the food vendors and the merchandise vendors and the retail outlets that sell the sporting gear and all that kind of stuff. I get it, that portion of it kind of sucks, and really I do think there are ways that the major league sports could make things work, but I don't know. What did they try? They tried that bubble at Disney World. That should have worked. Apparently, at least one person I read broke the bubble. So yeah. People, you just can't count on people. But that being said, I figure I would give you 2 YouTube channels that you may want to check out. Kind of sports related, but not really. And you'll see in a second. First up, we've got Gels Marble Runs. Yes, this is a channel where they do marble racing and marble events and all sorts of different things, including they've had, I think there's the 2019 Marble Olympics, and there might have been 2018 or 2020 or something like that. I think there was 2 Marble Olympics that they have 2016, 2017, 2018, and I think there's a 2019 as well. And then they also have Marble Rally, so marble racing in dirt, and Marbula 1, like Formula 1, so that's marbles racing on a track. So yeah, if you want to get into it, it's super well done. Like top scale production for marble racing. I know you're thinking, why do I want to watch marble racing? But believe me, get some of your friends, get into it, and everybody pick a team, and just decide when you're going to watch these videos. Make sure nobody like tell nobody, people, your friends, not to watch them outside of it, and kind of get in there and make a thing of it. And trust me, you'll have a blast. The other channel I'm going to tell you about is 3D Bot Maker. Now, when I first saw this channel come up, I was like, 3D Bot Maker? That sounds like one of those, like terrain making and miniature making and all those kind of things they make with those 3D printer machines. So I was kind of thrown off when the video I watched was about die-cast car racing. Yes, the little dinky car type things. Well, 3D Bot Maker has one of the craziest and awesomest racing series. It's like if you were into car racing, and this is it, only in dinky car form. And it's, again, production values through the roof. It's done with the announcer, just like you're watching it on television. Love it. If you're into car racing, trust me, you're going to want to watch this. It's so much fun. They have so many different things, sort of themes. They got Hot Wheels themes. They've got British themes and different country themes, and all sorts of different tracks. I think they did a Japanese car thing. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things where the different cars, and I think the cars are submitted by people. So different, because I'm guessing die-cast car racing like this is actually a thing. I don't know. I've never seen it around in my area, but I'm guessing there are clubs and stuff that have these tracks and they race them, and it's tons of fun. So I think some of these people, and not just those type of individuals or groups submitting cars, but people who like to customize their cars and stuff like that. So a lot of that kind of stuff are submitting their cars, and then they will race. So these are actual, like, not just a guy with a bunch of dinky cars and running them. As far as I can tell, these are actual submitted racers. So that is super, super cool. So yeah, I figured I'd give both of them are kind of racing related. I didn't pull up like a baseball or a football or a basketball or hockey type channel or anything like that. It's just because I came across these two and I've watched them. In fact, the marble racing was introduced to me by my group of friends. We actually, when we first found it, we did it. We waited until every day when a new video would come out and we would watch it. So we had a lot of fun doing that. Everybody picked their own teams, and they have wacky team names. So everybody was kind of rooting for their own guys. And then somehow, I don't even know how I came across 3D Bot Maker anymore. But what I did, after I did, I think I watched, I don't know, I had to have watched a good 20 videos the first time I came across the channel. But yeah, it is super awesome. Now, I admit I'm kind of into miniatures and stuff like that, so when they have, you have to see these channels. I'll put links to both of them down in the description, but you got to check them out. Trust me, you will have a lot of fun. I know you're stuck. By the time you see this video, it's probably going to be close to Christmas, so yeah, maybe I'll do a Christmas video, but if I don't, yeah, this will give you something to watch, and hopefully you get some time off. Maybe even if you're in the type of jobs where you need to be working and stuff like that, hopefully you get some time off, even if it's just a couple of days. So I know we could all use a little break, and hopefully these two channels can give you something to watch if you don't have movies. I know you have movies, but streaming and television. And okay, so just in case you just wanted something different, check them out. And yeah, we're staying safe here. We are what we are. We're doing our thing. Hopefully you are staying safe. But until next video, take care. Have a good one.